let's go ahead and jump into some music. Enrique, I'm familiar with you and your catalog, having been able to speak with you for the last several years plus some. In fact, I remember when I started in radio, I was an intern, and I was, I don't know how this happened, but I pitched a show, and I was given the show. I was like, hey, man, you don't even have to pay me. I'll just do it. And they were like, perfect, because what you're doing doesn't deserve money.
Work for free.
Right. And so one of the first artists I interviewed was Enrique. This was 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, first of all, I was surprised because I was like, they got Latinos in Kansas City? Secondly, I thought it was awesome that he was good enough to make some time for a radio station here in the city of Chicago. But I've followed your passion and your progress since day one. But for the rest of us who haven't had that journey with you, Enrique, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the sound, the evolution that I think is making movies, the fusion that you all embody, taking elements from this Latin American country and, of course, what you are here in the United States, and how that has changed over the years.
Well, I think the way the band sounds, if you were to describe it to someone who's never heard this music, I sometimes say, if you could picture what Carlos Santana did in the 60s, but like picture it happening today. And that's just a simple way to kind of give context. But I could hear what my desire was. I could hear in the music of the salsa music that I grew up with, listening with. My family's from Panama. And if you hop into a taxi in Panama, you're going to either hear reggaeton or salsa. That's the two things that everybody's always listening to. Mm-hmm. But there's something in the energy of salsa music and in the rock and roll my dad listened to, because my dad was a weirdo in Panama to be such a rock and roll fan, especially in the small town that they grew up. Though there is we've come to realize there's a big rock and roll community in Panama. We're not so weird to love rock and roll as Panameños. But I heard something connecting those the music, and I didn't know what it was at first, but now I do after 10 years of going down this journey. I think that our music speaks to something that's a bigger picture. It's that there is a joined narrative between the Afro-Latino community, the Latino community, and American music, which American music, many of the roots come from the African origin, like the blues and R&B and soul and jazz, which are American music's exports. We have been told there are two narratives. There's the narrative of that, and there's a narrative of Latin music. But the farther I go in, I realize it's the same narrative. And so the heartbeat that makes rock and roll pulse is the same heartbeat that makes a son cubano pulse. And that's why when we blend these things together, it not only sounds fresh and unique, but it also sounds oddly familiar or comfortable. And it's because they're actually, if you go far enough back, they're actually part of the same narrative.
So you're creating contemporary music that captures the culture. Is that difficult?
It can be at times. It can be because you're trying to make these things that most people don't think should go together fit together, and then you're trying to convey that idea in some sort of a simple way. And I think that we erred on the side of complexity at times at the beginning of our journey, and now we're trying to figure out how to distill complex ideas into a really simple and way to communicate with people, because that's ultimately what music is. It's just communication. It's a language to itself. So.